Hello everyone and welcome to another SQL query training session with Learn at Knowstar. In today's session, we are going to write a SQL query to extract numbers from a string. Now there are various ways to do this, and we have also done a video in which we have used the translate function to achieve this objective. I have provided a link above to that video so you can check it out. Translate function can be used when your data is more simplistic, meaning you don't have many alphanumeric characters or other accented characters that you want to replace, and you can actually go and type out all the characters that you want to replace. But if you want to generate a generic kind of functionality, then we can use other approaches which I will be discussing in this video. So we are going to discuss two approaches in this video. There would be two steps for each approach. The step one is to first split this string that we have defined over here to extract each character of the string and convert it into a row. And then once we have each character independently in a row, we are going to check whether it is numeric or not. So these are the two steps that will be involved. Now the step one, which is converting and extracting each character of the string and converting it into a independent row, can be done in two ways. In fact, it can be done in multiple ways. We are going to discuss two ways of doing this. Let's start with step one. There are two ways that we're going to discuss today for step one, that is extracting each character and converting it into an independent row. So the first step for us is, or the first approach, what it involves is working with some CTEs. And the first CTE that we're going to create is, let's call it position, with position as. What the CTE is going to do is extract the position of each character, which means basically that if there are 10 characters in your string, it is going to generate a sequential series with 10 numbers in it. If there are 11, then it will generate 11 and so on. And then once we have each ID for each position of the character in the string, then we are going to associate the characters with that position. So this first step involves generating a simple series of numbers, sequential numbers, which can be done with the concept of recursive Cte, which we have discussed in earlier videos as well. When we try to generate date ranges or missing date ranges, the same concept has been applied over here. I have also provided description links for those videos, so you can check them out as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to start with the number 1. So select 1 as, let's say, position. Then we are going to do a union all, and we are going to increment this variable that we just generated. So this 1 as position, we are going to increment it by 1. So, and we are going to call the same CTE, the CTE which we have defined as position. So when you're making a call to the same CTE which you are actually defining at the moment, it is called a recursive call. Recursive call works and it kind of goes like a loop and keeps on generating your numbers or whatever is your output till it reaches the where condition clause where it stops. So we have to define a where clause. The where clause for us is when the position, the numbers reach the maximum length of the string that we have defined. So when position is less than equal to the length of the string that we just defined. Okay. So this is the CT that we defined. Now let's do a select star on this to see what is the output from this. So it will help us in better understanding what exactly is happening over here. Okay, so what we are missing over here is one more bracket. And now if we execute this, we will see that the positions or the IDs for each positions have been created. So you can see that 17 rows have been generated over here, and 17 is the length of the string that we have defined over here. Okay, so once we have the corresponding position ID for each character of this string, the next thing that we're going to do is define another CTE and then use that CTE to extract each character corresponding to this position. So let's define it as with character. Okay, we don't need to use the width because we've already defined one. So character as select and we have to call the column. So let's call it column with select column from the earlier CTE that we defined from position. Then what we are going to do is we have to extract the character corresponding to all these positions that have been generated in these 17 rows. So we basically need a row by row operation and kind of a loop operation that we want each of this row to work on the string that we have. Okay, one by one. So for that, what we have to use is the cross apply function over here, which will let us perform a row by row operation using the positions that we have generated in the earlier CTE. So what we need to write here is simply a substring function. So substring, and then what we're going to do, substring is going to be on the string that we have defined, so the variable, and we have to start extracting from this position. So the first character is, let's say, 2. Then we have to start extracting the string from the first position. For the second character, we have to start extracting from the second position. So basically this column that we have generated in the earlier CTE position, and only one column or only one character we want to extract. So 1, this is how a substring function is defined. So substring basically works on the string that you want to extract the substring from. Then the second is the position from where you want to extract the substring and how many characters you want to extract. Okay, and then we can define this as column. Okay, and we can define this as, we have to give an alias to this subquery that we just generated. So let's call it character 1. Okay, and this. Okay, so now let's write a select query from the character table and see what we have got in the output. So this is the output that we have got. We have got each character of this of the string split into a different row. So 22, November 20, and we have got the same 17 rows corresponding to the length of the string. So now we have got each character, and now what we can do is simply, instead of doing this, we can perform a numeric check on each character and only output those characters which are numeric. Now to do that, what we are going to use is another function called the StringAggregation function, or string underscore agg function. And what you have to pass to the string is basically what you want to concatenate. So it basically will allow you to concatenate, and you can define a delimiter. So what we are concatenating is this column that we just generated. So we are going to concatenate each column value, and the delimiter that we want to use is a blank space. Okay, we don't want any explicit delimiter from the character table that we just defined, where column like, and then you can define. So what we're going to define over here is a pattern. So it should be a number. So we are just going to define 0 to 9 over here. Okay. So we have defined the entire range, and it should be any number falling within this range. Now if I run this query, we will get only the numbers in the output. So this is one way in which we can achieve this. Now, why is this a better method? It's more reusable across different functionalities. So let's say now in this case you want to check not for the numeric digits but for the alphabetic digits. So you can put A to Z, or you can also include the upper case characters, and if you execute this, what you will get is only the string, the alphabetic portion of the string. So this can be customized as per use. You can define any pattern over here and use this. Now let's go over to the next approach that we had. So in the next approach, what we're going to do is we are going to eliminate some of these CTEs and use the stuff function instead to extract all these characters. So what the stuff function will do, okay, let's copy this first in a new sheet. Okay, let's remove the CTEs that we earlier defined. Okay, so what we're going to do here is using the stuff function. How the stuff function works is it deletes a part of the string and then inserts another string that you define at that position. Okay, let's see how it works. So we again need to define a CTE. In this case, let's define a CTE called character again with character as, okay, select stuff. Okay, and we are going to stuff on this string. The starting position from where we want to extract is the first position. Okay, and what are we going to replace it with, or the number of characters that we want to replace is 1 at a time, so 1. And what are we going to replace it with is going to be a blank. Okay, so instead of doing a CTE right now, let's just execute this statement and see how stuff actually works. Okay, so if I just execute this much portion, this is what you're going to get. So what has happened is the first position, we had 22 November. So the first 2 has got replaced by a blank character as we have defined here. So what has happened is it has considered the original string. It has looked at the first character starting from the first position and 1 character from that first position of the string and replace it with an empty, and this is the output you have got. Okay, so it has basically gone to the string, started looking at the first position of the string, which is right here, looked at 1 character from the first position of the string, which is this, and replace it with a blank. So that is how stuff works. So that is the logic that we're going to use here. So select stuff. This is all we have done. Now what we want to do is once it has replaced that character, okay, this is the remaining portion of the string. We want to find out the first character as well. So for that, we are going to use a simple function here, left, okay, and extract the first character of the original string. Okay, so I'm just going to extract the character of the original string. So as, let's say, this is going to be your remaining string, and this another, this is going to be your actual character, so as column. And again, we are going to generate a recursive CTE. So I'm going to use a union all function, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform that operation on whatever are these variables that we have defined over here. So the same operation essentially, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, so instead of at string, the original string, now what we want to go in a loop and keep on performing this operation on is on these values that get generated with each loop. Okay, so these will keep on changing. Now for the next loop, this second 2 will also be eliminated. You will be left only with this value. We'll see this in a while. So let's just replace this original string value with this variable that is getting the output from each loop. Okay, so now we are going to keep on stuffing, and we are going to extract the first character from this remaining. So in the next loop, I'm just going to extract the second 2 that I have got over here. So I'm just going to change the original string values to this value. Okay, and since we are referencing the values that we generated in the first select statement, so we have to say we have to reference the same CTE. So again, it becomes a recursive call of the CTE. And again, we have to define an end condition for this loop, so which we will be defining use the where condition. So we need to keep on doing this till we reach the end of this string. So again, the same kind of condition where length of remaining string remains greater than 0. Till then, we have to perform this operation. All right. So now what we're going to do is, first of all, we're just going to select the remaining string and column values from this Cte which we just generated. Okay, let's execute this. Okay, we missed the select here, and this is the output that we get as a result of this Cte. So you can see that the remaining string keeps on getting smaller and smaller, and the earlier strings that we have, earlier characters that we keep on extracting, are getting removed from the string. Okay, till it reaches the end where you have just one character over here, and this is the last character that has been extracted. All right, so now again we can just use the same function that we used above, to the string aggregate function, to again check each of these character to be numeric or alphanumeric or alphabetic or whatever we want to check, and then we can execute this whole, and this is the result. Okay, since we have removed this, let's call it 0 to 9. So what you can observe over here is that it effectively eliminates any alphabetic characters, alphanumeric characters as well. So we had this alphanumeric character in the string, which is also eliminated easily, and this is a more reusable function that you can generate. You can also put this code that we have generated as a function, and then you can call that function at multiple places in your code. So these are the two approaches that can be taken. As I mentioned earlier, that in Oracle there are functions which can be used, and there is a function called the regex replace function. I'll provide a link to this document. This is a very good script over here on Oracle Live SQL, which you can use. They have provided many examples over here, and it should be very easy to understand that, but if not, then we can cover this in a further video as well. So I'll provide a link for this as well over here. Again, having said that, there might be many more approaches that can be taken and many more functions that can be used as well. If you have any other approach you would like to suggest, then please do mention it in the comments below. Again, thanks a lot for watching. If you found this video useful, then please do not forget to like this video, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.